Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I put a video out a little while back about pulling apart this MS291. I don't know if you guys remember, but I'll show you quick. This was a unit that I purchased used. The seller had it for about 3-4 days. It's a brand new saw. 3-4 days, and they totally made a very expensive mistake. Now they said they were cutting wood, they set the saw down, walked away, came back, and it was just smoking. I'm not really sure if that's the case. What tends to happen is people usually, have the choke lever all the way down. It's on high idle. They start it, it kicks over, it's on, and they don't burp the trigger. So it kicks over on high idle. They pop it up one to like the first choke position, and instead of hitting the trigger to burp it down, it sits there idling. Now with chain brake on and things, there's a lot of heat buildup in this area when that happens, especially when it's still on high idle, and it tends to melt and just create a lot of problems. So in this video, we are going to basically tear this saw down. In the next video, we're going to take the motor, we're going to split it, we're going to put new seals and bearings in. And then in the third video, we're going to reassemble and possibly make cuts. If that doesn't happen, then we'll have a fourth video, we'll make some cuts, and we'll run the unit and see how it runs. So be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all, so you guys don't miss these future videos. And let's get started. My goal is to try and show you guys how to do this, right? How to get in here and how to pull this saw apart. So now you can take your scrunch, right? You got 3 screws on top. Get all those undone. Remove that top cover. Take your air filter. Give that a twist. Take a look at our melted side. All right, got all our plastics together. Sometimes, now I've already gone through this. I've already pulled most of this off, put it back on for the video. But, the snap ring would be here. You got to pop off, pull that washer. In this case, there was just a lot of plastic and a lot of messed up pieces in this, and so you can't even get all this apart easily. It's a mess, but there we go. Still got some plastic in there. It's burnt. There is bluing on this guy. I believe it's a T25 for a couple screws that are here on the side. These are some smaller screws. I do recommend getting a couple different pans if you need them to keep your parts separated while you're going through this and pulling stuff apart. That way there you can kind of keep it organized for when you go to reassemble. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take it apart, and hopefully I remember how to put it back together, right? Now, I have a whole new housing for this, new motor housing. I have all the new parts already set aside that are fried. And so basically I've got to work through and just totally disassemble this whole unit, because I've got to put all these parts back on the new motor housing and everything. So, we're going to need a T25, T27, flathead. You're going to need an 8mm socket wrench. Might also need a couple other things, but that's where we're at right now. I'll have links down below, though, guys, to the same or similar tools that I'm using in case you guys need something. You guys buy through those links. It helps support the channel, and I do appreciate it. Now, right now, I'm just doing some basic stuff while I'm chatting, but as we get into some other parts, hopefully it'll help you out in case you got to do some other replacement things on your saw. Let's get rid of the whole recoil here. T27 bolts. Gonna need an 8mm socket for in here. If I can find the T-handle sockets and T-handle torque wrenches. Those are something on my list to purchase. Right now I'm just using a lot of tools that most people will have. You gotta get in here and pop this lever. Fish it out. couple rubber grommets on the sides. You don't want to rip them, but use your flathead and try to pry them off to the side here the best that you can. It is on there tight. There's not a lot of room on these wires for play, but you gotta fish this thing off right here. Oh, carburetor slips straight off. So if you wanted to put a new carb on, or you had to, you can just put that carb on and reassemble. T25 screw here. Here's my new motor housing. As I remove stuff, some stuff, I'm just going to put some of these screws right back in the new one. I'm going to leave the wires on this. We're going to pop everything off the ignition coil on this side. There's a black wire down there. I just popped that off with the flathead. Should be my T27. Undo all these screws right here. Whole recoil. These are the wires we were getting after. Just fished through here. What I kind of want to do is just see if I can pop that whole grommet right through. See if it'll go, wires and all. There we go. Keep it all together. Now if you're going to get in and you're going to do this job, you want to make sure it's even going to be worth it. So I guess I should have started with this, but one of the first things you could check is by removing your muffler or your exhaust. Got to use that T27 though to get in there. You want to look and see if that piston looks clean, if it looks scored, burnt, whatever, and just make sure it's in good shape. Like, is that going to be worth doing all the work that goes into this? To be honest, like I said, this thing's only a few days old. They could have blown it up, but to be honest, this looks brand spanking new. So we will we'll carry on. So from here, we're going to need a rope. The one I usually use I can't find, so I've got a thinner one, just tied a bunch of knots in it. And what I want to do is look through where the spark plug was. Look through where the spark plug was. And I want to twist the flywheel forward until I see that coming up. I want to make sure it closes the gap for the exhaust port. Watch it come all the way up to the top and see where it starts to come down. It starts to come down. I'm going to go backwards toward me a little bit. Then I'm going to feed my rope in here best that I can, as much as I can. You got to be careful doing this. You don't want to be knocking sawdust or dirt or anything in here, especially if you're not going to be splitting the whole motor. In this case, I will be. But if you need to just remove, you know, your clutch, or you need to get over here and remove this, or your clutch over here, or your flywheel on the other side, and you don't plan on splitting the motor for anything, you don't really want to knock anything in there. Got all my knots in there. Went the wrong way. Clockwise is where we're going. Counterclockwise or forwards. Let's see here if one of these, I was going to say, I think this one scrunch actually fits. There we go. Pop that guy off. So I don't have the tool for separating this. What I'm going to do is, that's loose. I'm going to back it off just a couple spins, but not all the way. Right over the end of the nut. Give it a good smack. See if my flywheel's come loose. It has. So all I did is I put my extension over that nut that we backed off a couple spins right here in the flywheel. Give it a good tap. Pops that flywheel loose. Remove that nut. Remove our flywheel. Keep those together. As far as this side goes, that works pretty much done. We're going to leave our rope in there. We're going to flip it over here to this side. Now this time, we're going to be going counterclockwise to try and, or actually we're going clockwise to remove the clutch. So I'm going to see if I've got one here that'll fit. So this is going to spin, and what it's doing is it's spinning back down, and it's got to come back up to pinch our rope. Which honestly, I think I already have this loose. It is, it's just spinning off. It's already on there hand tight. I forgot I had pulled it apart. So you got to go clockwise to remove your clutch though. And honestly, your scrunch will fit that nut as well. You'll be able to get on, you'll feel that good and tight. You'll have to hold everything. Give it a good pop. It's going to be on there really tight usually. So this clutch is shot in the sense of tons of bluing. There's a little bit of marring on here. There's some plastic from it all melting. But these springs are totally done. And honestly, I mean, I could probably reuse the shoes. I'm just replacing this whole piece. As much heat as it's had and all the bluing going on, I'm just going to fully replace it. So we get in here, we're looking. We'll reuse the washer. We'll just clean it up. This is what's left of my worm gear for the oiler system. Totally gone. This is the internal mess of leaving it on high idle and that chain brake going. Not good. Not good. So, yeah, good times. We're going to get in here, though, and disassemble this brake area. Get that out of here. And we'll go from there. Going to take a little hook here. See if I can't fish that around the spring. So it's hooked into the spring right here. I'm going to pull that guy back and off just a little bit. Sometimes these go pretty easy and sometimes they're a pain right in the butt. There we go. Slip that in. There's a little snap ring in here. Take a little flathead, pop this little snap ring off. Sorry, my hand's in the way. I just didn't want to lose it. It's down inside there. Also going to make sure this is back all the way. And try to pop out the brake here. Sorry guys, my technical verbiage isn't always on point. Bunch of melted plastic on this guy. We'll probably just clean this up. See if we can't reuse it. I don't remember if I ordered one up or not. So our oiler system, our oil line, all that is just completely annihilated. But there are 2 screws in here that usually hold your oiler in. I'm going to pull them out because I'll probably reuse them for the new one. I need one of those I need a saw vise. Hold the chainsaw up for while you're working on it. Boy, that'd make life easier, wouldn't it? Those are out. Look at that. There's our oil pump. Really nice. Lots of usable stuff there, huh? Up just a little bit. Tough for you guys to see. Pry that up just a little bit. This piece will slide right out. Our whole brake handle should just come off here. You gotta fart around with it a little bit though, because it wants to snag up on the other side. There we go. Brake handle's free. You got some parts in here, another little spring in there, so just be careful. So this is also, like, it's good for you guys with video and me too, but if you want quick reference as you go through, just take photos. Right, I've got my new one here right next to it. I could pull some of this off and just put it right on the new one. The little plastic washer there. Got this metal piece here. There's another little snap ring. Oop, another little snap ring in here. Tiny little thing. Here's the one I took off earlier. This whole piece here should just pop out. A little persuasion. Grab my new one. Just gonna put this right back in the same stinking way it was. There. Spring and hooked. Put my snap ring back on here on this new one. This piece back on, you should be able to see the writing on it. Your little plastic piece you took off. This in here, knowing the handle's off, but I don't want to lose my little snap ring and stuff, so honestly I'm just going to pop it all back on. Chain adjustment screw. Got to put it in the other one. Let's put it right back in. Pull this out of here. I'm going to wait though until we put the handle on and everything. I think it's time to get this handle out of our way. Pull these out. T25. Screws are out. I think it's a matter of compressing this spring here. Prying this out. Little rubber grommet here that prevents you from pulling. This little rubber grommet in here kind of prevents it coming all the way over to get it out. Let's see if we can push it through on this side. It's right here. Push it out of there. We're looking here, we got our fuel line runs up through to here. Pop that out. Fuel line runs through up through this hole. Pop that out of everything. Pull it through. Let's see, what else has got us hung up? Nope, we didn't have to take the handle off. I was flipping it upside down and pulling it out. Boy, that got hot. We even melted that lower a little bit. Shouldn't say we, they. There's our handle. If you can't get it though, the handle unclips in here. You give it a little twist and a push with a large flathead and you can pop that apart. Pop one out, pop one in. Pop through on the bottom all the way. I had screwdriver in here. It's like a hose clamp. I was hoping I'd get that whole piece off. Let's see here in a minute. It's still in there. So at this point though, we've removed everything except the engine, I believe. Well, we got this piece here for the chain. Pop that off, put it right back on the other one, same side. Boom. And we have to worry about removing the oil line over here because the new case comes with a brand new one. Just looking it over, make sure there's no other parts in here that I might have overlooked. Anything that just unbolts, it's not over here. Other than this oil cap, kind of waiting for that. Now, at this point, everything is disassembled except the engine, right? We haven't pulled the engine. So, unlike our 170s, 180s, 250s, this engine splits right over the case. So, the lower half of the engine sits here. So you're going to have your crank here, right? And that metal piece is cast and formed right in. So we can't just unbolt it and pull this out if we're not prepared to do the rest of the work. In the next video, we're going to pull this out. We'll pull this out. We'll break the seal, undo the 4 bolts holding this in. We'll pull it out, break that seal, and we're going to put new bearings, new seals on, and then we're going to reseal the engine back down onto the newer one. Then we'll be ready to do assembly in a third video. So this is where we're at. You know, basically, like I said, next video we'll be fully busting this thing apart. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Hopefully it'll help you out with this project. Be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all. Turn on YouTube notifications so you guys don't miss future uploads. Also, keep an eye out. All right, next video, we're going to have parts list, parts numbers, you know, all OEM stuff going back into the saw. And also check out below and in that next video for tools or similar tools that I'm using to help you with this job. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you later.